What an insane world we live in, right? Well, Matt Kim is a Korean-American podcaster. He's an investigative journalist and a privacy tech entrepreneur based in Atlanta, Georgia. He launched the Matt Kim podcast in early 2023 as a platform for, quote, unapologetically honest and raw conversations with guests like Congressman Andrew Clyde, Vivek Ramaswamy, and even Jake Shields. Themed Truth at All Costs, it explores current events, politics, privacy, and narratives on Epstein scandals, AI, surveillance, and cultural divides, challenging the mainstream views to promote free thinking. This guy's legit. He literally will talk to anybody about anything as long as it's truthful, or even if it's not, he'll explore why it's not. Now, he's self-taught in production. Kim started solo and grew rapidly, gaining 300,000 Instagram followers in just 2 months and 100 million views by mid-2023. As an investigator, he covers Trump's campaigns, deep state influences, and tech spying, earning reposts from Donald Trump himself. Whether you're a fan of him or not, I mean, it's a pretty damn big accomplishment. Now, in 2024, he co-founded VP.net, that's VP.net, a zero-trust VPN for privacy protection. Inspired by his surveillance probes, he fosters community via his free-thinking army on Discord and Telegram with 171,000 followers on X, 634 on Instagram. It's at MattAttack009 in the bio, and presence on YouTube, Rumble, and TikTok. Free Matt Kim and Spotify. He advocates transparency and unity on issues like CBDCs and cultural tribalism as of 2025. And the reason why I'm talking to him is because he's all around a pretty stellar guy. He's pioneering something that I think you're going to want to hear about in the technological world, plus some of our shared experiences in Korea, some of which we probably won't talk about on today's show, but Korea. Matt, welcome to Almost Serious. It's good to have you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate having me here. And dude, it's hot as hell in Florida.
It's terrible.
It's horrible. How do people live here in the summer?
We don't. So one of our investors messaged me and he said, legitimately, I said, where are you? I'd like to meet you. He says, I'm in Cape Cod. And I go, I don't know that city in Florida. And he's like, yeah, dummy, it's like not in Florida. I go, why? He goes, because you poor people living in a swamp ass summer don't understand what it's like to leave. Literally, do you know everyone in Florida is New Yorkers and they just come for we call it the on season. And so from like November to February, all the New Yorkers are here. The streets are flooded. The bars are open. But other than that, it's just us poor white people and Hispanics.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them here for sure.
Yeah. A few, one or two, man. No, it is. So, obviously it's kind of crazy. I want to talk to you about something, and I was really interested. So, here in Florida, we had a porn ban. I don't know if you know about that. We had I think it was ID verification. So the United States government said, hey, we're going to let states kind of operate on their own merit on what kind of access they want to give people to pornography. And advocacy groups, particularly Christian and conservative groups here, said, we have a Republican state government, and we want to ban. So they did that by causing age verification. They went after the fact that there were a lot of minors, allegedly, who were on these websites like Pornhub, and they were exploited and they were abused, right? And their material was disseminated, that you had to not only show age verification to create and submit the pornography, but that you had to have an ID to get on. And instead of, I gotta be careful here, instead of following the rules, it's quite interesting that all of the big companies seem to be owned by the same person, because they all put a video in front of their websites. If you click on them, not that I would know. Not that I
just
would
heard.
Know. It's things I heard from a good friend. They popped up and said, we're no longer operating in Florida. And people in Florida cannot access pornography. I mean, let's just start there. That's kind of a huge move for the country in general. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but that's kind of crazy. Like, it's genuinely, for the most part, banned in this state. It's kind of surreal.
So I am not a huge advocate for porn, but I think that is an infringement on people's ability to access information. And it's actually 22 states in America that are requiring age verification. And they want to verify it by having you submit your driver's license and your ID to these websites. Let's just think about that for a second. They want you to give your ID to these foreign-owned websites. That seems like a fucking horrible idea.
Foreign-owned, though. This is a big topic, right?
Yeah,
here.
I mean, most of the
who owns them?
Israeli company own almost majority of all porn websites.
So not Jewish, but Israeli. What do you say Israeli? Are they dual citizens? Like what do you know?
I mean, there's a lot of dual Israeli citizens in the United States, so it's really hard to tell.
Well, that's just in the Capitol building in
That's
Washington,
true.
right? But in terms of, and here too in Boca, man, you're in the nest. You know what's crazy?
Really?
Boca Raton, I think is the largest density where the studio is of Jewish individuals outside of Tel Aviv, from my understanding. And one of the crazy parts is that this city, if you translate it from Spanish, is called the mouth of the rat. So the Jews are really inventive people, and it's an interesting group of individuals.
I didn't know that there was such a large kind of population of them here.
52%.
52%.
Yeah, like 52% of the city is Jewish.
Because I live in a part of Georgia where it's like really quiet, conservative, really kind of old school American. So this is not actually a part of my regular life. So when you said that there's a bunch of them here, I was like, when's the last time I've been in this type of center? I think the closest would have been in New York City, which obviously they're everywhere. But outside of
literally Brooklyn, it's so much so that there's around our city actually. Isn't there, Mike? I don't know if this is true, but I was talking to an individual who said that string they pull around the city. There's one around this whole city where they can move around freely on Shabbat. But they have I'm talking about. They put a string around the public places.
I don't live around a lot of them. I have no idea.
So they're not allowed to travel far from home on Shabbat.
Okay.
It's considered work unless they're close to the temple. We have 17 synagogues just in this city. But what is that? Do you hear about that?
Yeah, I think it's in Parkland.
So
because
in
one of our friends.
So the city where David Hogg is from, no coincidence there. This is one of the most Jewish areas in the world. It's where Parkland happened. It's where Epstein, happened, was right here. It's very Jewish. And, it is interesting you brought up, foreign intervention because they have, sort of tricked God, right? It's a very interesting religion where they trick God by putting strings up. So God created the universe. He created thought. He created sexual tension, which is insane. He created a woman's attitude. I don't know why he did that. There's a few things that I'm still not sure of. Some people that look a certain way, I don't know why they're here. But for the most part, God is pretty all powerful and in general, knows everything. But yet these guys can put a string around a town and God gets fooled by that. Isn't that unique? It's unique, right?
Don't cross the string.
God's like, damn it, I didn't think about twine. I didn't think about fishing wire.
They got me.
What God I love how God's like, don't commit adultery, don't kill. And then they're like, and God's like, and also don't open a refrigerator because the light turns on, which is crazy. They add that, right? And later on. And then they unscrew the light bulb so that the light doesn't turn on when you open the refrigerator. Therefore, God's not mad at you. And God's up in heaven going, oh, damn it. They got me again. Which is the same thing I say whenever I pull out a loan and the interest rates change. But side note, moving on from that, I think it's interesting we talk about this foreign owned stuff. You mentioned there in New York, Florida is sort of the playground of New York. It's where New Yorkers, Jewish New Yorkers, primarily go to spend their wealth and spend their money. And we know that New York is a center of global finance, right?
Yeah.
That is the center of the world. Particularly all pornography comes from the major cities. I'm from LA. And going back to that topic, jokes aside, it is a crazy world. You bring up the fact that they are foreign owned. They're Israeli. That's an interesting topic here as we talk about internet protection and what's going on. Talk to me a little bit about this idea of these websites and what's going on and why do so many Jewish people own these pornography websites or are found to have be founders? It's such a bizarre coincidence.
I mean, it is kind of crazy that a certain group of people own majority of the pornography sites. Same group of people own all the privacy companies, all the cybersecurity companies. And how does that correlate? I mean, I think there's a lot of people that put dots together, but at the same time, it's always the same group of people that own those three industries: pornography, privacy, cybersecurity. And it's okay, they want our information. They create companies that say they protect your privacy, but yet they're collecting your data. And then they create the companies that say we're going to protect you online, but yet they're also collecting your data. So they know everything about you. And the reality is that your information and your traffic and what you do online is probably one of the most private things you own. If I know your internet history, or if I know what you're doing on the internet, I know who you're talking to. I know what you like to eat. I know what you want to buy. I know what you like to shop. I know what your kinks are. I know what your side chick is doing. I know what your other side chick is doing. I know where you're going on vacation. I know where you're going to go on vacation with. I know what business you're going to get into. I know what business you're trying to get into. I know what business problem you're trying to solve right now. I know everything about you if I know what you're doing on the internet. And we're giving all that information to the same group of people and same group of companies in the same region of the world. I don't know why that's not a problem. When we said we're going to stop TikTok because TikTok is, the Chinese are taking all of our data. Like, who the hell cares about your like doom scrolling on TikTok? There's actually nothing there. You're just consuming content. You're not inputting content. You're not inputting your information. But when you talk about your browser history and what you're doing on just in general on the internet, that's a lot of your own input. You're providing information into the machine. In TikTok, you're just consuming. So it was such a big problem that the Chinese are taking your data. I'm not saying like that's a good thing, but that was such a big deal. But no one ever talks about the fact.
He's not Chinese, by the way.
Not Chinese.
A guy with small eyes being like, by the way, what does it matter if Chinese people take your data? It's like, it reminds me of like Mark Levin, being like, who cares about the Epstein files anyway? It's like,
Yeah,
not everyone. Yeah, he's Korean, but so and the Koreans, weren't treated so well by the Chinese, and vice versa. So there's a little bit of history there. So this is what I want to talk to you about. So I feel like I'm a bit retarded. I used to push ExpressVPN a lot. I want to talk about protection. Let's start with talking about internet access. Okay, so you go on Google Chrome and you want to look at somebody's body that doesn't belong to you, right? I'll just put it nicely. And you click onto the website and you put on a private browser. How safe is that data in a private browser? Who's able to see and not able to see? Like I mentioned earlier, that you're looking at Lois Lane and Quagmire Brian three-ways. Weird stuff people type in on the internet, right? But it's a private browser. Where's that information going? What is it doing? Who's seeing that?
So when you use a private browser, the only people that you're hiding your information and where you went from is actually your loved ones around you. So actually, the private browser is used to protect your information from the people closest to you. So if you don't want your wife or your girlfriend or your friend who has access to your computer to know what you've done on the internet, use a private browser. They can't see your history. That's all that's solved. Who can see your data is the ISPs, any government agency that requests that information. They store, log, and are able to see everything you do on the internet. So if you're thinking about, a private browser, no one's ever going to know that I watched the Quagmire porn. Actually, you're wrong. All the people you don't want to see really can see all of that information. So this is a huge problem. When we say that the ISPs can see your AT&Ts of the world, your Verizon, your T-Mobile or whoever internet service provider that you're using, they can know and see all your internet traffic.
Can I ask you something about that? So who could see that? Is it, I'm asking for a friend, by the way. Mendoza actually asked me to ask this, so it's not for me. This is for the producer.
Yeah.
Who at these companies can see that information?
I mean, any network administrator that they can, or it's all stored as information. Any federal agency can request to see that information, and they would hand it over, and you would never know that was handed over. So when you're talking about, Palantir is taking all this data about us, and they're trying to create logs and record everything we're doing online. Well, where do you think they're getting that information from, by the way?
The ISPs.
Where else?
Can they sell it legally?
No, they don't have to sell it. They just have to request it. So there's a law in the United States called the Cloud Act. It was passed in 2008. And what it says is, regardless of jurisdiction of the company, if a data center has information on you and an agency shows up and asks for it, you have to provide it. So your information, if it is exposed, it is not safe. Because all the government has to say is, give us the information and here's a gag order. Don't tell them that you gave it to us. You have no idea how much of your personal information is being given up to the government, to different businesses, to different tech companies, to different privacy brokers, or whatever it is. You would never know. The only way to protect yourself is actually you have to go out of your way to protect yourself. That's the only way to do it.
So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, actually.
Yeah, not looking good for us here in the office. I'll tell you that's
there
not
is a
good
list
at all.
of all the websites Elijah Schaffer has gone to, and it says Quagmire porn, Quagmire porn. part Lewis. And you're
Wow.
like, fuck, I can't believe they have it all. Well,
At least
do.
they don't have the Brian page. That's the key thing. I'm actually worried more for our tech guy, Brian Mendoza. I don't know what that guy's looking at, but it's definitely some crazy shit. Keeping it kosher, for lack of better words. So we were talking about this, and this is obviously serious because, theoretically, I was talking to one of our journalists at the publication I work at. His name was Jordan, and it was on our meeting in sitting in front of the White House. And I was kind of laughing. So I'm like, I'm going to be very careful with my wording. This is kind of just funny, right? Like you're like at the president's house, taxpayer funded, like how fragile our world is. You're some random guy. Like they don't really know that you're safe. He is very safe. I'm going to clarify, and very cleared digitally and whatever. But meaning like, just like you can just be there, right? Like a lot of people are very disconnected from the world and the way things work. And they just kind of, go to an ice cream shop to eat ice cream, and they buy a sandwich from Subway, and they don't think about where the bread comes from and what's in it and how the trade goes and how the global economy works and the currencies work to trade those ingredients across the world, etc. And it's, people don't jump into that. But I was with him there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, it's crazy, man. There is a huge factor. You're sitting in the White House, like trust is everything.
Yeah.
I'm going, like the whole point of all this is like the reason why you don't think about it is because you just know that you're not getting poisoned from Subway theoretically. Again, health nuts don't talk about seed oils. Just stop. I mean, theoretically, you're not going to die if you eat a Subway sandwich tomorrow. Same thing goes with his job at the White House. Like it's like crazy. Like they use like 50 cars and paramilitary operations to keep the president safe. But like one of our guys can just walk in and be like, "Yo, what's up, dog?" And like go in there like. You ever think about these crazy things? Like, what if his camera was like a gun or whatever? Like, how do they like know that things are safe? And you're going, what? There's a certain level of humans where I can trust this guy, which is why interviews are so important. It's when you get to know somebody and you realize what is their character. And I think kind of like not thinking about what Subway makes or where they get their ingredients. We don't really think about what happens with our internet information and how embarrassing that could be if people found out what we really search up. You know what I mean? And someone knows it.
Well, it's not even whether or not someone knows. It's just the whole idea of privacy is actually really important. So if they remove your ability to be private, it actually removes your ability to organize in the future. So I'm not saying we should have like some sort of rebellion or whatever right now. But what if one day in the future you actually need one? If there's no privacy, you can't organize, you can't communicate, because you would never be able to get away with it. They are removing your ability to have privacy because that protects them from anyone ever uprising against them. You have to protect your privacy. It's not only just, am I watching crazy shit on the internet? But it's just the idea that once you strip you of your privacy, you lose your ability to organize in the future. It's actually much bigger than that. Privacy is essential to freedom. When you lose privacy, you lose your ability to fight back.
And that's paired with the fact that we have militarized police forces as well. So obviously on the physical front, people say you have the Second Amendment. Why don't you use it? It's like, well,
how do you communicate with one another? How do you trade information? How do you get information if you can't be private?
I'm not gonna say that I wish January 6th was successful, but I think January 6th was a little bit like Trump's presidency, where like people describe Trump as being a Nazi, right, and neo-fascist, but really he's like a Zionist Jewish president, right? And that is what he is, and he doesn't do all bad things, but he's very pro-Jewish. He's not he's not a Nazi, right? So it's so stupid. But I feel like January 6th is the same thing. They paint it, 'cause I was there, right? It was in the White House, and not in the White House, in the Capitol. Sorry, and they say it was like an overthrowing of the government. That wasn't what it was, but quite frankly, that's why they let it happen, because they knew it wasn't going to be an overthrowing of the government. Because if they actually felt like they were threatened and the government was going to get overdone,
the reaction would have been completely different.
That would not have been the reaction. Yeah, people don't realize how stupid it is. But it does. I'll just continue to say, a friend of mine has thought, what good is the Second Amendment, Matt? What good is owning guns if I can't communicate well enough to have a movement to use those guns? A friend of mine asked. And that does concern me about privacy, Just so you know, the feds have lifted my phone records, my bank account records. These are all FOIA requests due to my journalism and things I was involved in. Obviously, we know we've installed, like with private companies, Twitter used to have on the back end that you could read the person's messages. Elon Musk showed that. Additionally, we know that the government was able to obtain even back end passwords to my iCloud, by the way, because Apple wouldn't give over the passwords to people's iCloud when they were Islamic terrorists in San Bernardino. But when it was domestic white supremacist terrorists involved in January 6th, they gave over the passwords and gave backdoors to the government to get into the phones. This is real, and it happened. That being said, I felt my privacy being violated, and it feels a bit like maybe a token virgin, getting multiculturalized by a group of packy men, right? It's something that I've always think about now, and I'm like, there's no point to even try. A lot of people feel like this because you're going to, like the Whitmer kidnapping, fake Whitmer kidnapping. If anyone's trying to organize any real resistance, it's either a honeypot or if you tried, you're going to get arrested. Do you think there's any way, is there any tools or way that we could actually get around the privacy invasion, not just of the ISPs and then the Cloud Act, but also of the Patriot Act, which is what I was a victim of? I mean, like, are we cooked?
No, I don't think so. I think this idea that there's nothing you do about your privacy because the government can do it all anyway. Actually, that's not true. Name one thing that the government has actually been efficient and good at.
Wasting our money.
Exactly. I mean, perfect examples, look at how the Postal Service runs. They can't even do that properly, but all of a sudden you think, oh, they have all these technological tools, so they automatically know how to use it the best, most efficiently. That actually doesn't make any logical sense. Where are they even getting the people to administrate these tools from? The best technologists in the world don't go work for the government. They go work for private companies. They go work for Google. They go work for OpenAI. They go work for
But is Google the
Apple.
government? That's the question.
I mean, that's true.
Good question.
But at the same time, like the NSA doesn't have them. The FBI doesn't have them. They don't pay enough to get these guys. These guys are the best of the world. And you think that all of a sudden the government's going to have a tool and be like, oh yeah, we're going to be able to do it so efficiently. I think that's part of the psyop. To make you feel like they're so efficient and so good at it, there's absolutely nothing you can do to solve them and to stop them, which is not actually true. If they target you individually and they say, we're going to figure out how to get Elijah Schaffer's information no matter what, there's a lot of routes in. But as a blanket policy, you should be able to do the basic minimum things to protect yourself on the internet. When they do a data collection on the American population, they're going to go for the low-hanging fruit, right? They're not going to target every single individual. It's not efficient. It's very difficult to do. It's very expensive. And it takes a lot of resources. What they're going to do is just going to blanket everyone, and whoever's easiest to catch, they're going to catch you. So make yourself difficult to catch. And by using privacy tools like the VPN that we've invented, this will at least help mitigate you as an individual, because most people actually aren't doing anything that wrong on the internet. That's just a reality of it.
Most people, but not in this office.
But, the argument is like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong anyway. Why do I need a VPN? And the most obvious answer is, if someone's standing in your window, if you're at home and you're watching a movie and you're eating popcorn, do you want a stranger looking at you watching your movie, eating your popcorn from the window? And the answer is no. Why? Because it's a violation of my privacy. Well, exactly. You have to fight for your right to be private. Even if it doesn't affect you individually on a kind of individual level, you have to fight for that premise and that idea overall. Because again, privacy is freedom. Without privacy, you have no freedom.
Well, I agree with that. And I want to bring up something about that, about the privacy thing. It's like, okay, so maybe we use VPNs, maybe we communicate, but I think it was Tucker Carlson that was his Signal was hacked, right? And we use Signal. We're journalists. We communicate a lot through encrypted messaging. But with Apple giving a backdoor to the government, it sort of gives them a backdoor into your phone. I do believe that our phones all have backdoors in them built in. I have staunch evidence. I have family that works in foreign intelligence services. Everyone knows my kids are dual citizens. And the only reason why they're dual citizens is because I want them to run for Congress. So they love those kind of people in Congress, right? It's true.
Dual citizen gets you very high percentage of getting elected.
Yeah,
apparently.
high percentage. Jokes aside, though, my personal immediate family is not connected to intelligence at all. So I don't want anyone to think that's, some sort of a connection there. But I do take this stuff very seriously. And I really do hate what's going on. I see what's going on in Minnesota with a Somali potential mayor. And I see the people celebrating him. And I'm like, look, I don't just want illegal immigration to stop. I want legal immigration to stop. And I also want to also stop, keyword, the amalgamation of people as these labels. Like when we say, yeah, well, we just want white people in our country. Then it's a bunch of white Latinos, and it's like, oh, we don't want Asians in our country. It's like, well, there's a big difference from someone from Seoul and someone from, Pakistan, and they're both Asian, but do they have equal value? Do they have equal contribution? I'll let the viewer decide that. But I want that stuff to stop. And I want there to be sensibility returned into our country. And that's not going to happen. We're not going to see sensibility return unless there's a complete overhaul of the system because of the infiltration of AIPAC and the Jewish lobby amongst other nations that have interrupted. However, before we talk about that and how we can fight that, I want to remind you guys a quick break from the main topic. Crypto's making waves in traditional finance, and I've got something I think you'll find pretty compelling, especially if you're tracking how digital assets are reshaping business strategies. Now, you've likely heard about companies like MicroStrategy or Tesla adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. Now, this is part of a Bitcoin treasury strategy where businesses hold crypto as a long-term store of value or a hedge against inflation instead of just cash. It's a significant shift in how companies manage their reserves. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Hyperbit Technologies, trading under HYPE HYPE in Canada and HYPAF HYPE AF in the USA, is carving out a unique path. Rather than simply buying Bitcoin, they're mining digital assets like Dogecoin, Litecoin, and others using high-efficiency renewable powered operations. By generating crypto as their core business, they built a self-sustaining treasury model. They're not just speculating, they're deploying next-gen mining rigs and leveraging low-cost hydroelectric energy to stay profitable and sustainable. This positions them to hold, reinvest, or even use their crypto to fuel expansions. Now, for investors, Hyperbit offers a way to gain exposure to the crypto market without the hassle of managing wallets, keys, or mining operations. They mine, buy, and secure digital assets, making them a diversified player in the space. You check the link in bio. All right, make sure you also read the disclaimer in the bio. It's very important that you do so because I'm not giving financial advice or even inviting you or asking you to invest in anything, but they are a real company. They're on the market and they're trying to raise awareness. And I think you guys might think it's kind of cool. But like I said, read the disclaimer because it's always risky to invest. All right, let's dive back into it. So getting this idea of privacy,
well,
it's just scary, man. I'm scared. I'm honestly scared what they can do.
You said that you used to do ad reads for Express.
Yeah, I'm ashamed of that. But
And
I didn't know what you said.
ExpressVPN is one of the largest VPNs in the world. And I'm not saying they are spying on you. I'm not saying they're not. I can't prove one or the other. What I do know is that the owner of Express is a Israeli billionaire who has known history of donating and supporting the IDF, that he is known to hire for Mossad as CEO, CTO, that they run the technology. You can make a decision if you want to trust them, but I feel like most people watching are like, whoa, I don't know about that one. You know what I mean? But most people didn't know that. So you can't blame people for not knowing what they didn't know. But now that you know, how can you? And your
is everything run by the Jews, man?
Yes,
Like
everything.
This is like so I've had a day. I mentioned that earlier. I would say on the show. I've had a day, man. I went to the gym just before this. I have a coffee to wake up. I was up till like 4 a.m. last night, up at 8, you get like 3.5 hours of sleep. It was a little bit before 8. Guys, I want you to listen to me on this. Guys, listen, you're in the same mode. You're like going through shit. And there's some days where you just don't have time to think about the Jews. You're like, I'm just trying to survive. I'm trying to
live my life.
I'm trying to live my life and overcome this. But then you sit there, not me, but let's say you want to crank one out, as they would say it. and you go to access a website. Now, I use ExpressVPN. I've been using it for years since I've had it on my show. I wouldn't sell things to people I didn't believe in. Up until about 30 minutes ago, I was telling you I use ExpressVPN and I believed in it. And I get things wrong sometimes, and I'm okay with that. You know, life's busy. You don't you're trying to research the background of your VPN, right? It's like just I need to use this. I use it in Australia to make a living, right? It's a key word. It wasn't to look at and jerk off. It was like I had to use it to access my website, to upload my content. It's a very, very formidable reason to approach.
And they have a good product. It works.
It's a really good product, and that so I'm not. By the way, this is not an infomercial, guys. By no means that he has a VPN company, but that's not what this is. It's just we were just talking about earlier. It's like, so I'm here to believe that this is so messed up. It's like,
so
is an Israeli billionaire. Like, I'm a journalist, man. I'm a journalist, and I do what would be considered sketchy stuff on the internet in like my home, in Australia, in the United Kingdom. It's legal here, but it's illegal there.
It's gray.
I do a lot of things on the internet. I'll clarify to Australia, illegal things here, not there on the internet. But I, they have hate speech laws and all these things. So you're telling me an Israeli billionaire
can see everything you're doing.
Oh, damn it.
So your traditional VPN, every single VPN in the world operates the same. Every single VPN. It's a trust-based system. So the VPN provider that you're using, it doesn't matter if it's Express, if it's Nord, if it's Pro, it doesn't matter. They can see your internet traffic. They know what you're doing. They know what websites you're going to. They can see it all. You are trusting that this company who has access to your information will never share, sell, log, compromise, backdoor your information. It is a completely trust-based model. And the reality is in 2025, you can't trust these technology companies to do the right thing if they have your information. And it could be intentional or unintentional. Maybe they don't deliberately want to give up your information. Maybe their intent is they actually want to keep your information private, but they have it. Over and over again, time and time again, we've seen that technology companies, when they have your information, even if they want to protect you, they compromise you. And then you add in the factor of government agencies all over the world, and they say, well, you have to give this to us. Either you sacrifice your entire business model, or you as a company, as a billion-dollar company, protect the interest of Elijah Schaffer. Which way are they going to go? Every single time, they're going to go for the agency because they don't want to deal with that shit. So you have to trust that these VPN providers, every single one in the world that has access to your information, will never compromise you. And that's why we built what we did. We thought this was the only actual
How did you
solution.
build it? Let's talk about VPNs for a second, because I don't think I understood what they were. I always know they bounce around the world, and you can choose to be in a certain country, and I'd have to choose to be in the United States on my phone to access my website censored. But it's like, okay, so when we use a VPN, are all VPNs the same, A, and do they all work the same, B, and C, how the hell do you build a VPN? Like, what does that even mean?
So basically, you have different servers that you connect directly to.
A server is what? People don't know this stuff, man.
A server would be, I don't even know how to describe it.
A computer or something? A stack of computers?
A computer. A computer
Okay.
that you connect to, and then that computer connects to the internet. So you kind of have this intermediary between you and your destination.
But how do you connect to that computer without using the internet? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, the internet connects you to that location. So from
and then
your
it
side,
switches
and it transfers
all
you
data
and it routes
from
you.
there.
Correct.
So there is a moment where you can be tracked. So your ISP can track that you connected to a VPN.
Correct.
So you can't avoid that.
Yes.
Okay. Then you connect to the VPN. There's a server, let's say.
And the VPN knows where you went.
You're in Atlanta. You use our server here. You're connected to here. It says everything you do registers as coming out of Boca Raton.
Correct.
It's not coming out of Atlanta.
Correct.
Is there any way to backtrack that to you? Because couldn't you get into that server and backtrack it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. All your traditional VPNs have that routing set up. So you can see where you came from and where you're going. Because if you're using Express, for example, then that Express knows the originating IP address. So they know that you connected to this server. They know where you went. If you know where you came from, where you're going, then you can go backwards and you can figure out where you were. What we've done is we separated the user from their destination. So we split the routing, and then we run the network traffic through something called a trusted execution environment, a secure hardware enclave. Basically, what that does is we do not know who went where. We don't know. If we don't know, we can't compromise it, we can't save it, we can't store it, we can't backdoor it, we can't give it up.
It's not illegal though, because what if agencies request like, hey, and I'm going to use a very serious example here, but somebody's, accessing CP, I imagine it's the dark web, not even through VPNs. But let's say a very serious situation, right? We'd all disagree with Republican, Democrat, unless you're a Democrat. Now you probably agree with it, and Trump now too, maybe. But you go, Matt, somebody's using your VPNs to target this, and I only bring this up because of what they did to the Telegram CEO. It's like, hey, people are using your app to commit criminal activity and abuse. You're now held responsible. Isn't that dangerous for you?
Well, yes and no. Telegram got in trouble because he knew the IPs of the people that were in these conversations. We don't know. We can't give up information we don't know. His problem was he knew. He's like, I don't want to give it to you. That creates a problem because he has information that he's not willing to give up. We design our system specifically so we can't. I don't want to know. I don't want to be subpoenaed. I don't want to be standing in front of Congress and they're like, well, what did Elijah Schaffer do on the internet? I'm like, oh, now I got to tell you. I don't want to be in that situation. So we built our system completely so that we ourselves can never know. I don't want to know. We care about privacy, not what you're doing on the internet. And
Is there any laws against that though?
No.
Like, do you have to track?
No.
So then why do the companies track?
That's a good question. Why do other companies track when they don't have to? Well, and that's, I don't know. It's because they're probably data companies and they're not privacy companies.
They're probably selling the data, right?
I mean, wouldn't you? If you had access to all the data and it was worth something?
I've heard that Tesla's not a car company, it's a data company.
I mean, that'd be a really good argument, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a data company that makes cars. And that social media is just data collection agencies. That's all it is.
And if you are on Instagram or on your Facebook or on YouTube and you sign your terms and conditions and you willingly give them access to your information and you say, you can track me because that's what you're doing when you sign the terms and service, then there's nothing you can do about that because you're willingly choosing the information you give.
So obviously South Park makes fun of that, right? With the human centipede. You saw that? The terms and service with the iPad. I don't know if you saw that thing.
No.
Yeah, where they get an iPad and they sign the terms of service. And
Editor, put that in.
Part of the terms of service, is that you can sew their mouth to someone else's butt, and you can create a human centipede, and they poop in each other's mouth. But it was in the terms of service, and it's like each clause, like, how is this legal? It's like it says right here in clause 3 that you can, poop in someone's mouth, so do your butthole, and it's like, what? That's in the terms of service. It's like it's making fun of how the fact that no one reads it, and it's like it actually is crazy. And how much legality does that have? But it's like, okay, so let's say I have a friend, close friend, who doesn't want to see Somalians living in his country, period. A few of you, Matt, can live here. I'm okay with that.
Oh, thank you.
A few of you can live here. No, I rarely work in Orange County. Nobody thinks Irvine is somehow adding to the problems of the international community.
Right. Yeah, Irvine's nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, you go to Irvine, you need a lot of mats there. And we call the people who steal at self-checkout lanes Lake Worth people because there's a city north of it called Lake Worth where they all live. And you're the Irvine people, Matt. It's like, I don't think you're the problem. But I think Somalians are not what our founding fathers wanted for this country. I don't think they should be here. And that's a very strong statement and could be considered hateful to people. But in this country, I can say that. In Australia, I cannot say that. Right? It's a very good distinction. VPNs are universal. I know that your VPN could help me to say that in Australia. And one of the ways, I'm not going to say this, but let's just say this. If you're creating a show and it's broadcasted from an American ISP or whatever, it can skirt some of those international laws. By the way, that's actually a crazy statement. But if it's broadcast and they stream it from a computer here, you're technically not broadcasting anything against the hate speech laws. You recorded it, and that's not against the law, but broadcasting it is, but it's being broadcasted from America. I found a lot of ways around their laws. Or somebody did, I should say. But in the United States, I don't know if Signal is Signal secure?
I think Signal is actually secure. I think their encryption is actually pretty good.
What is it? What is encryption? And like, what do you mean by that?
So it's end-to-end encrypted, meaning that the keys to unlock what the message is on both sides between you and I. So no one can actually see the contents of a conversation. So the end-to-end encryption in most messengers, it's pretty good. For Signal, people aren't cracking that really. It's not a thing. When they say Tucker Carlson's Signal got hacked, they didn't crack Signal. They probably got into his phone.
That's what I think too. They like Apple probably gave them the back door or something crazy.
Even
like
iMessage is actually really secure. FaceTime audio is extremely secure. So when I have a conversation, my go-to would be Signal. If I want to have a secondary conversation and maybe that person doesn't have Signal, I would use FaceTime audio. Their end-to-end encryption is actually
also
really
Signal
good.
has 30-second disappearing messages, which is like great.
Correct.
It's so good to like. I hate texting.
But the problem with Signal is that although our communication or our text message may be encrypted, they still know that we talked. In most governments throughout the world, you don't actually need to know the content of the conversation. You just need to know that two people spoke. That's enough for conspiracy. We say, oh, Elijah and Matt spoke 4 times today, and they spoke 1 hour right before something happened.
Wait, they can intercept that from Signal?
Yeah, of course. They know that's not encrypted. Our connection and the fact that we spoke isn't encrypted. Just the contents of our conversation is encrypted. So this was kind of the idea of what we've patented this idea of network anonymization through a hardware secure enclave. These are the problems that we're trying to solve. It's not just your connection to the internet, but if we're having a private conversation, it's not private if everyone knows that we're having that conversation. It just means no one can hear us.
It's like, it reminds me of like, it's like, well, it's like, hey, we can go have sex, tell some girl, not you, Matt, but it's like, hey, we go have sex. And it's like, well, is it private? Well, everyone's going to watch us go into the room together.
Exactly.
Alone. And it's like, well, then everyone's going to know we had sex. Well, they're not going to watch us. It's like, well, what do you think we're doing?
But they watch us walk in, they watch us walk out.
So if I'm looking for evidence that, like, you know, if I find evidence that Matt is looking about overthrowing the government and Elijah is, and then I see they're talking, I'm not retarded. I can assume they're trying to overthrow the government.
Which is what they do.
Which is like, I didn't know. See, what about Telegram then?
Same.
Did you know this, Mendoza? I don't know if you knew this, but I actually didn't know that they could pick that up, the communication. So I didn't know that stuff.
I actually knew about Telegram, especially recently with the Pavel Durov stuff. But yeah, Signal, from what I understand, is the most secure and encrypted. And I can't really talk about the technology as well as Matt can here, but I have heard some of this stuff before. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
he's more connected. He's like, even though he's millennial like me, he's like more of he's in the Gen Z circle, so he knows his stuff. But
yeah,
like,
they don't know what we talked about, but they know we spoke. It's like the example.
I don't like that, man.
You know, back in the day, we'd watch these mob movies, and the FBI would be hiding in the bushes, and they take these long cameras, and they take pictures of people, and the mobsters just talk like this and cover their mouth so that no one can see, like, can't read their lips. But they take those pictures of the two people talking, they use it in court. They don't need to know exactly what you spoke about to create conspiracy. They just need to know that you two spoke.
They still do that, by the way. I had an FBI agent that followed me for a while after January 6th, but that was because, see, and that is crazy too, because if people know how the Patriot Act works, you know, this show is so much different than the other show tonight. You'll be on. It's so much different. It's like we're just like, that's more like we actually talk about the news, and we're like
going over fake news.
Yeah, we're just going over topics.
That's more. That's more funny.
Yeah, it's like we're just like I said last night. It's like we're just like talking about more things that are not the Epstein files. You know, like just keep giving us other things. No,
Obama's a bad guy.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Democrats. Hey, Mendoza, did you hear about the USS Liberty, by the way, or about the Balfour Declaration? Because that's really, I wanted to tell you about that.
No, but I do have some Talmud scriptures to read to you.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we're going to be talking about dispensationalism tonight. It's like, we actually are, though, by the way, but that's a side note. That's just one of our hosts did a good video on that, and I wanted to share. All right, it's a good sermon. He's a pastor. It's very good for Christians. But back to the show. You know, I look around, and I remember I had an agent that followed me, and, you know, they were looking for conspiracy charges, and they never formally charged me, but they did have, it's an investigation, which is different, right? So they're looking for the charges. So how it works, you create a narrative, you start the investigation, meaning you say, like, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Saddam is a dictator. He is a neo-fascist. He is Islamo terrorist supporting guy. He invaded Kuwait. It's all these things. So that's enough to start an investigation into the weapons of mass destruction. And then the charges, by the way, don't mean you're guilty because they didn't find the nukes. Okay, and everyone's like, there was chemicals. We knew you had chemicals. The United States actually helped facilitate the provision for that, including Israel as well. We'll talk about that later. It was against Iran, and Israel's very much against Iran. But most importantly, charges can result in very serious implications. Okay, very, very serious. I've never been charged with any crimes, but I've been accused of things before in my life. Didn't turn up. The lawsuits I won, but people still like reference fake lawsuits against me on the internet, right? Or like reference fake accusations from people about insane things, including that I abuse women and stuff. And it still comes up to this day. And it's like, okay, like, do you not like, the point is that with this future of guilt in AI, we live in a guilty until proven innocent world. And once you're proven innocent, as long as the accusations of guilt remain on the internet, that's all your enemies want, right? That's what they want. And so it doesn't matter if you're innocent or not. It matters if they can find a way to make you seem guilty, right? To get mob justice on you. And I'm nervous for the world because I've experienced it from the government tracking me from January 6th and these sedition and conspiracy charges they try to put. I get nervous because of these people that I used to work with that tried to ruin my life, and extort me for money. And I've seen how good privacy can be because I had disappearing messages on Signal, which is why I tell my employees to do that. And the only thing we had was our text messages, and all I've sent on text messages were nice words, Just like, hey, thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Is there a way out of this? Like, I'm saying this. Like, am I right to be nervous about this and to be genuinely scared that like people don't talk about things, Matt, because they don't even want to risk even having said things because they're afraid they're going to go to jail to their own family and friends. It's like Big Brother's there. Are we like I asked, are we screwed?
Big Brother is there. They are trying to monitor everything that you're doing. They're collecting all the data. We know that. Most people know that to be true. But you can do measures to at least mitigate the risk and protect yourself. I think that, you've experienced it. You know what that feels like to have everyone watching at all times. And it's a little bit different for you, for me, maybe, because we're kind of on the internet. We're kind of a little bit public figure-y. So we're giving up a little bit of privacy there just by being online. But for your average American, average human, there's this really famous manifesto called the Cipherpunk Manifesto. It was written in 1993, I believe. And it's these cryptographers that wrote out what they envisioned the internet will be like and the importance of privacy. And one of the most famous quotes out of that is, privacy is your right to selectively reveal oneself to the world. All your information, all your data belongs to you. And you should have the ability to choose what you reveal to the world. It's your information. You should decide what people know about you. That's actually how human nature is supposed to be. That's how things used to be. If you're a conservative and you say, well, I want to conserve certain values, that should be one of the things you want to conserve. Your information about who you are is your information, and you get to decide what you share.
But do you think we're stupid? Because South Park also had that funny episode of Kate. That's not Kate. What's their name? What is the prince and princess in England? The ones that are really famous right now on Netflix and everything.
I'm blanking on the name.
Yeah, it's like we're blanking on the name.
Merkel.
And they had the funny thing where they were like, like holding British flags and like saying all this stuff, and then they have a big sign that's like, respect our privacy, and they're like playing loud music, like, bang, 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 banging drums, going, respect our privacy. And it was like the joke to make fun of them, of like, they're all like, why are you persecuting us? It's like, hey, you're the royals. And you literally take every TV interview you can. I'm just wondering, kind of like voluntarily having a woman live in your home and asking for sanity. It's a marriage joke, but no, I'm just meaning it as a joke. The paradox is having a phone and using the internet already an invitation to no longer have privacy. You know what I mean? Like, is that Can we have our cake and eat it too?
I think so. Actually, technology, and this is part of that Cipherpunk Manifesto. So if you've never read it before, I suggest people read it. Basically, what it says is that with technology today, we actually have the ability to be more private. The tools exist to be more private than ever before. You should be able to protect yourself even better than ever before. But they've stripped that away from you. All these technology companies, their incentive is to make you less private because it's better for them as a business model. But the technology exists for you to be more private than ever before. They just want to make you believe that that's not possible because they want you to give up. I mean, we've seen that in every actual social issue in our lifetime. They want you to give up. They say it's hopeless. And then therefore you comply, you make it easier for them. It's easier for you to give up than for you to fight back. So what we're trying to do is trying to give people hope that actually you can fight back. It's about taking steps in which to make it happen. And privacy, I know. Again, privacy is freedom. Without privacy, you have no freedom. You can't just roll over and be like, oh, they can take it all, so we're not gonna do anything about it. Like, that's a shit solution.
No, it's not. And I don't like the black pilling that I have sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
there's no hope and we're screwed and there's nothing we can do. Like,
but I feel that way.
You can't just give up, right?
I feel that way, man. I'll be completely straight up with you. I feel hopeless because I have a running joke on my show, Rift, which is this is a different show on Rift TV. It's a little different side of me. We're just like kind of thinking about things and shooting the shit with a friend and, you know, just kind of talking about some random topics. But it's like, you have George Washington and people say like, you know, it's like, you have what he wanted for this country and you're not a part of it, you know, obviously. But things have changed. And then we also realize it's like, well, originally you weren't a part of it, but, you know, obviously things change, meaning like we go through a Korean War and we have the Cold War and Korea changes, right? So it's like Korea isn't some third world country anymore. It's an advanced first world nation, right? That is an American, technically military outpost, if for lack of better words. I'm not mean to be disrespectful, but it is. I've worked there and it's crazy. You know, and in many ways, it's also now a globalist trade outpost, right? It's one of the great cities in the galactic network of the empire, right? It's they get the wealth, right? They get to share the wealth of the world. To where we were saying about a $2 million apartment and not even a home, a $2 million apartment in Gangnam and those areas would be a shack. Just like I found for $1 million US next to my house, there's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 900 square foot shack. It's $935,000. Welcome to South Florida, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you all come live here. But like that aside, you know, looking at all of that, it's like, so we know then, yeah, okay, Koreans are different than Indonesians and, you know, they're a Christian nation, for lack of better words, and they also share our same problems. It's funny, right? Like materialism, vanity, feminism, you know, homosexuality problems. You have feminization of men, low birth rate, yada, yada, whatever. An atheistic movement, too, away from Christianity. That being said, you know, I know our country is not perfect. I know there's no other country in the world that's perfect, and I know that a lot of our countries have the same problems. But I do think we are well past in this nation. I'm trying to be careful. That's why I'm kind of being yappy. It's like, I gotta be careful. Like we're past the threshold to where our Second Amendment is able to be exercised, and I think everyone feels that these people need to go, but we can't even get the Epstein list removed, man. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I mean, like released or like, you know, removed from privacy. But it's like we can't even get a list. Like, we can't hold anyone accountable, but they can hold us accountable in everything.
Yes.
It's a scary power dynamic, and it does feel hopeless.
I mean, in order for there to be any change, because this is a problem I have with the current administration, because I was actually really pro-Trump leading into administration. I mean, leading into election. But if you want to solve a problem, you actually have to fix this problem first before you build on top. That's just common sense. If you have a problem, fix a problem, and then you make your next move. But this administration wants to make all of his moves and all his policies and all the things he can put his name on without actually fixing the problems first. It's like, no, we're going to get rid of the deep state next. Like, no. We're going to fix the debt crisis next. No. You need to fix those problems first. And then once those are fixed, you can work on the next problem or you can work on building something on top. But it's this house of cards that we're building on an unstable foundation, and this is a problem that we have. I agree with that. That doesn't work. But you see other parts of the world, like I'm from Korea. I've been Korean for 3,000 years.
You're from Korea?
Well, I was born in the United States. My parents are from Korea. My wife is Korean. My daughter is Korean. I hope and pray to God that my future son-in-law is Korean. That I want my grandchildren to be Korean.
They like white boys. Watch out.
No, I want them to be Korean. And what's crazy in this day and age in life in America is if I say that my family's been Korean for 3,000 years, I want my next 3,000 years of future generations to also be Korean. People are like, oh, that makes sense. That's okay. But then a white guy's like, oh, no, I want my kids only want to marry white people. Like, oh, this guy's a racist. I'm like, wait a second. I feel bad for you guys. I say that all the time. No one gives me shit. And then you're like, oh, I want my kid to marry a white person. I'm like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, because girls are hot in a lot of races. And I'm sure girls find guys to be attractive in a lot of races, but genetic offspring is a different conversation, right? That is a different thing. But they're part of the reason why they're controlling the narrative is they're trying to destroy white people, and that's a real thing. I
read this U.S. Census report recently that said that white people will be the minority in America in 6-7 years.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be 2050, and it's like 2038
or something like that.
I think it's longer than that. It's like 13 years, so it's like 2039 I saw. And by the way, that's not the minority in all places. Have you ever seen the map of the last 70 years of white replacement? It actually comes directly from the borders and moves in and up. And the Midwest... So what so sad. The Midwest has been like where everyone's moving into. It's like sort of moving up into the Northeast and the Midwest. So that's why Obama started working on moving Somalians and Haitians into the Midwest to disrupt the white retreat, because he was afraid that white people were going to then
gather
centralize and then it would become exclusively white and would then militarize against, basically take back from the WOGs, what was going on in this country. And
divide and conquer,
just like the whites and the Asians are doing in California with Napa, parts of the valley, up in San Francisco, and particularly in Orange County, right? All the whites and Asians went zoop and moved out. They've been moving out of LA slowly but surely, letting the Hispanics take over, and they've been taking over. That's what everyone's like, where's all these Asians coming from in Irvine? Like, from LA, and they bought convenience stores and saved up in generations, sent their kids to nice schools, and they've stayed in the same household and married and put off buying a Lexus, and then we're able to buy a family home in Irvine. And that's what a lot of them are shifting from these areas. Yeah, there's immigration too, but there's been a lot of Asians in LA.
Yeah.
It's just, why the hell would you want to live around black people? You know what I mean? It's not a great lifestyle, for lack of better words, unless you like seasoning. However, he brought them up there into the Midwest to disrupt the diaspora of white people, the white flight. And they predicted this. This is why it's so bad. So Obama's administration was told by the neocons, basically, that in this new globalization, the Zionist regime, that they would need to relocate mass amounts because these people wouldn't naturally like to live in cold climates, right? So they're attracted to LA, they're attracted to San Fran, attracted to Florida, right? These are the places. They're not attracted to cold climates because they're not adjusted, because they're brown and their bodies are not adjusted to it. Blacks are in cold climates because of culture, but not naturally when they immigrate. So they created these resettlement programs, which Biden also worked on, by the way, and got 500,000 Haitians sent to the Midwest. 500,000 people that have a lower IQ than chimpanzees. That's crazy. That's horrible. And you know what it is? It's about destroying white people. And you go, who would want to destroy white people? Well, Jewish people. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make sense. Why would Koreans don't want to destroy white people? They don't want me in their bars. That's fine.
I mean,
that's fine.
Korea's a pretty racist country.
Dude, you know what?
But it's like a respectful racist. It's different.
Dude, Mendoza, would you be weirded out if you went to Korea and they were like, sorry, no foreigners allowed in this bar? You just walk out, right? I don't care.
Yeah, I'd be like based, you know, and like, by the way, that and sorry if I'm peeking a little bit, but you know that happens it doesn't happen in this country, but a lot of times I'm from Chicago, and anytime that there's like a shooting at like a bar or a club, guess what happens? That bar or club gets shut down. That person loses their liquor license. If they took out a loan to open that business, they're screwed, and it's because what? A certain group of people wasn't acting right, and they pulled out guns because someone stepped on their J's. Like, is that worth it? No, I think people should be able to deny people from their place of business, but that's my opinion. But
they do have foreigner clubs, though. I want to talk a little bit about that. Before we do that, by the way, I'm wearing this shirt. You see this? I'm not a Catholic. It is. I told you guys here that this shirt is like, this is like a large, and I shouldn't be wearing a large. I'm a grown man. I should be wearing a one size bigger than this. But apparently, we're doing muscle tees now on the show. You can find it at redpillthreads.com. It's REDPILLTHREADS, redpillthreads.com, promo code RIF for 10% off their store. I'm sure the editor at this point is throwing some overlays up, which is great, fantastic, of the shirts that they offer. They have so much, including like Daniel Penny with his laser eyes. It's a lot of stuff that lets you know maybe you don't want Lake Worth people in your Boca Raton, but maybe you're in Boca Raton and you also want to wear shirts that let people know you don't like the people that live here either, but for different reasons. These are very loaded t-shirts with political statements, including this one that I'm wearing. The reason why I wear it, I'm not Catholic, but it's, I guess this is like a crusade shirt. That's what they told me. It's like pro-crusade, right?
It's the King Baldwin. There's a movie. I forgot the name of the movie, and I know the chat's or the people in the comments will correct me on it. But King Baldwin from... It's a Kingdom of God, I think. Movie is.
But anyways, it's about like pushing
cross.
the Muslims back, but not because
Right.
you're a neocon, but because you want the Jews to own Israel. It's because you want the Christians to run and rule the world. And I believe in that, man. I've told you guys I'm a very flawed individual. I'm a gritty man. I get my hands dirty. I go out. I feel like people that complain about my flaws is like complaining about a soldier who just got shot in war, dripping blood on your carpet when he's asking you for help. It's like, war is messy. It requires a gritty kind of guy to fight it. And, you're not going to get prissy little Baptist boys really doing a lot in the world to actually push the kingdom. And that's why I like this, because it's just like war, sometimes it's going to take blood to get through life. So I really like the Crusades. I think they're great. And I also like Christians a lot. Shout out to Christians in the chat. You guys are really fantastic. But go to redpillthreads.com, promo code RIFT, to get your shirt to make a statement to the world. Again, I don't like boomer clothing. Do you have a sponsor? Red Pill Threads are great.
Really?
It's like actually a fantastic. This is not a joke. I'm not even like, I'm not grifting here. We can give them your number. No, it's like they actually have. It's like actually good t-shirts. It's like the Burger King crown or something, And it's like, don't try me, It's like, it's like that kind of stuff. Where it's like also it's like it has the Disney logo, and instead of Disney it says propaganda, and and it has a Star of David at the top of the castle. It's really good. Like, I actually like their clothing, It's like actually funny shit. We have a huge opportunity to sell a bunch of shirts on that post of Anna, by the way.
Oh,
Everyone was
yeah,
asking where
you're
that
right.
shirt was from. Not Anna's shirt.
Wait, Sarah?
The shirt that Henny was wearing.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I messed up on that. We were selling shirts, but all good things must come to an end, including that photo. That being said, so let's talk a little bit about that. I want to talk a little bit about Korea and some of this base nature. You say you want your daughter to marry a Korean man, and I think, how old's your daughter? And
Well, she's young.
Okay, so Arthur Quanley, you don't have to wait.
Oh, no.
Why not Arthur?
I don't know. I love Arthur. But, number one, my really young. Like nobody right now. Oh, she's about to be 3.
I have kids about the same age.
Yeah.
I have a son that's about 2.5, and I have another son that's about a year old. Mendoza's kid just, you said I could say her name, right?
Yeah, I don't mind. Do you say
Rather not.
your kid's name's online? I don't know.
Never. I don't. You put your kid online. I
Okay,
don't know.
maybe not then. Never mind.
Yeah, so I wouldn't. But his kid just turned 1. We're all young dads. In terms of the newness of life, and so things change when you have kids, right? Things that you didn't think you'd want, like things like security systems and cameras and protection and privacy.
Yeah.
You'd want, and women change when they have kids, man. Like. You go from marriage being about, having good sex and, going to nice restaurants to just
traveling, having fun,
making sure the kids are in bed on time.
Yeah.
And it changes you. And I know that, I kind of want to go into your company. Why the hell? Okay, sorry. That's also disrespectful, but genuinely, why a VPN company? Why now? You know what I mean? Like in this stage of life with a young kid, you're married, you're successful, you already have money, you know what you're doing. You don't need money. You don't need to attract women. There's no grift to the end of it. You're already doing fine. Do you do something super risky and kind of retarded, like go into a niche like VPNs, which you said is actually not retarded. It's going to be very, very successful. Like what even inspired this?
Well, I mean, it's a scary proposition because we built a technology that doesn't allow government backdoors. And that's actually a really scary proposition, right? Because at some point, someone can get really mad at us. But it is what it is because it's that important. A lot of things that I do, I think about what is life going to be like for my daughter, for your children, for our young kids in 10, 15, 20 years. And what are the steps that you need to start taking now to ensure that they have the best possibility at life, not only on a comfort and economic standpoint, but like as a freedom standpoint. I don't want my daughter to grow up in this dystopian future digital world where she has no options in life and everything is decided for her and everything's AI driven and everything's algorithmic driven and she has no ability to think for herself. Like, do you want that for your kid? Of course not.
Absolutely not.
You want a future where they have the ability, even if it's within the current system or in a parallel system, where they can think freely, think for themselves, that they can make their own decisions, they can run their own lives, that are not a part of this crazy dystopian Borg that they're building. Then what are the kind of the basic steps that need to be done? Well, first, you have to protect your privacy. Then you have to give the people to be able to communicate freely. You need to teach the future generations to think independently, to question all narratives. Because, like for my daughter at least, we actually don't even watch TV. I don't even let my daughter watch TV. No devices.
Yeah. We don't allow that shit.
The only thing we do at home is she reads books, I read books to her, and she plays with puzzles. And if she has a puzzle and she does the same puzzle.
This is so Asian.
Yeah.
I love this. It's like, and she also calculus too. Well, by the way, calculus books.
I have her do puzzles, and it'll be the same puzzle over and over again, and the kids get used to it, and they start solving very quickly.
Good. You got to text me some recommendations on that.
Yeah, so what I do is I remove one piece. Then she still has to figure out how to solve the puzzle with one piece missing. Now she's thinking, how do I problem solve? How do I still complete this mission with one piece missing? Everything that I do is, how do I get my daughter to think independently? Because learning and memorizing, it's going to be ridiculously stupid in the next 5 years by the time our kids are older. It's not necessary. The most valuable thing is, can they solve problems and can they think for themselves? Because value is in scarcity, and that's going to be what's scarce in the world. Most of the kids out there, especially young kids, are going to be just doing what the computer tells them to do. There's no value. They become replaceable. They become just the corporate shills that run the world now.
NPCs, yeah.
Exactly. But do you want your kid to be exceptional? Do you want your kid to be different than everybody else?
Did your wife stay home with your kid?
Yeah. This is all we do.
That's the key thing, is the wife being around the kid too.
Has to be.
Like, there's no way with how much you work as a man that you could, no matter how much you care about your daughter, that you could pour into her as much as you'd like to, you know? And by the way, just like women, every guy I know, every single guy I know, the women say, you know, you work too much, you got to spend more time around your kid, whatever. That's just a universal thing. That's good. That's a protectionary measure from mothers. They're trying to make sure that their father's present, you know, in the kid's life. But I agree with you. I mean, that's number one. I'm taking notes. I gotta hang out with Asians more and find out how they parent, because you guys are doing something right. But being a present parent like that is, being a dad doesn't just mean that you're spending a ton of time with your kid, because you may not have it. You may be gone on business trips and you may be gone, but the time you do have, like you said, you're intentional.
Yeah.
And I think that's similar to our relationship with God. Like, you know, you don't have to pray for 40 hours, you know, a week. You don't have to fast 7 days a week. But if you do take 15 minutes in the morning and you do pray and you do talk to God and you do meditate on his word, like he said, day and night. So you do in the morning and the night, you do take time to listen to him. You will start to find God. He said, like, basically, you know, you draw near to me, you take that step, and I'll draw near to you. Like we kind of move in that direction, and you have to make your own free will choice to move in that place. But with kids and what you're talking about, I think part of what makes you want to stay Korean is not just the ethnicity, which is true, but it's also what it means to be a Korean, you know, and what you value. Because it seems like what you value, I was shocked to find out black people don't hold the same values. Apparently, they don't even care if their father's home, you know, so, or even around. No, but I find it to be very admirable to have a child and to do that. But is that really your driving factor? Like, is that what it is? What about personally or for you and your wife? Because that's an interesting thing. Is that involved or is it just your kid?
No, it's literally everything that I do. I think, will this make my life and the world around her better in 15 years? And that's kind of what decides everything that I do. Because,
Awesome.
I mean, I can do jobs or I can do business or I can make money doing there's a lot of different ways you can make money in this world nowadays. But is it actually going to make my daughter's life better? And if the answer is it's not going to improve her life in the future, then what am I doing? What am I wasting time for? Like, I'm here to be her protector and to shape the world as best as I can for her. So that's all I think about. And in that process, hopefully that makes the world better for your children and Mike's children, everyone else's children, because I don't want my daughter to be like the only one that lives in this free world. She's gonna be lonely. It has to be better for a lot of people, right? I want her to have friends. I mean, she's young, but I tell her all the time, like, daughter, you're gonna be the weird kid, and that's okay.
Yeah, the one that they think is homeschooled.
Yeah, you're the.
Are you gonna be homeschooled?
I don't know yet.
My kids are gonna be homeschooled. Are you? I don't know if you're gonna do homeschool. Are you gonna do homeschool?
I think so.
I
Probably.
think you have to do a combination of both.
Right, hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
I
thought
went
about
back to
that.
school in like junior high, but
Yeah.
But I think definitely when they're younger, like, you know, teaching them how to read and write and stuff is like very basic stuff. It's not very hard.
It's basic, but also teach them how to navigate the existing system. Because you have to know how to navigate the system as it's built, but you also have to teach them how to navigate outside the system.
Dude, I'm super against, well, we should do a show, by the way, on public education or education in general. I'm very against education as a whole, and I'm well educated as well. Not doing that I'm smart thing. I didn't say I'm smart. I just said well educated, and actually that's kind of a testament to what I think about it. I don't feel like I'm that smart, but I did very well in school, in you know, graduate school and whatnot. But I don't find that really translated to real world practicality and, you know, vocational expertise, right? Everything you learn is just on the job. It's in life. And I think, you know, due to time, because I don't want to go much longer, although we do have another show. By the time you're watching this, you can go back and watch another episode with Matt talking about the worldview that he holds, I hold, and how it relates to current subjects. I'd love to have you back on. I know if you're ever in Florida, always feel free to come on, especially this show, because it's just sort of up for grabs. That's what's called almost serious. It's like talking about like serious topics, but we're not really putting like so much thought in them. We're just sort of like shooting the shit and having a good time. And people really love it. It does really well. And I'm very, very, very happy about that, because people want authenticity, not really necessarily preparation. They just want to hear people think for themselves. But, you know, kind of ending here with this whole idea. Number one, I want to hear about what your VPN is, how I can download it, because I'm kind of upset. And I'm going to uninstall Express. I am going to uninstall. I still have time on it, so I'll just use it till it's done.
Well,
but I'm going to uninstall
we say
that.
once you know, you can't unknow.
Yeah.
Because once you know, you're like, damn, I can't. You didn't know, but now that you know, it's really hard to.
Can't have Jews.
It's really hard
looking
to
at
unknow
my
that. Quagmire porn.
Quagmire porn. Yeah, no, but I can't have. No, I do a lot of, like I said, like I use VPNs to like communicate with dissident people around the world, right? That's what we do. We all communicate through VPNs. And we're trying to form a legitimate global movement. So if that's not available, that's very sad. And as Mike knows, we do all business communication through encrypted chats and things that are going on there. Did you know ExpressVPN was Jewish? Because I feel like, well, I'm not surprised. I just didn't know.
Well, not specifically that, but I knew that they were compromised actually because of James Lee, who's a friend of Matt here. He actually made a video about it recently. And I always had some kind of sneaking like suspicion. I was telling Matt earlier, I feel like the more consumer friendly one of these privacy products is, the more suspect it is. Because I feel like you have to like really like, you know, kind of sacrifice some of the branding and the consumer friendlier aspects of it to actually get good quality protection. So I did have some kind of inclination, but Matt kind of opened my eyes to it a little bit more today for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, yeah, I just want to hear about your VPN. And then number two, there's so much, dude, these shows could go for so long. I know why, what's his name? Joe Rogan goes for so long.
4 hours.
Korea. Yeah, I wish I had a FU money, because I want to talk about like sex industry in Korea, which is crazy. The objectification of women and like power struggles between men and women there. It's so weird. It's like both a feminist and a patriarchal society at the same time. Like, you know what I'm talking about? It's weird. It's a weird place. It's a weird place.
If I lived in Korea, I'd probably be considered liberal.
Yeah, you would. You're
because
American.
No, because the conservative side is very pro U.S. military being in Korea. And I am, if I'm thinking from my Korean side lens, I think the American military should not be in Korea. Why is American military still in Korea? Korea has more than enough capable military to defend itself. There's no risk of other people invading Korea.
Well,
at
maybe
this point.
stop executing your presidents, you know, and stuff. Like your political system. You think
it's crazy.
You think ours is bad?
This is wild.
You think our political system is bad? It's so crazy over there. Like we have what is? Can you actually attest to that? Because I feel like every few years we find there's like a coup going on.
Well, I think that's
crazy.
I think that shows that the Korean political system actually works, because when a Korean president does something bad, they put him in jail. When they get caught for corruption, they gather him up.
Why
and
would
they put him in
anyone be
jail.
in politics in Korea, man? They're always killing and like putting their
Every
people
single
in jail.
president
It's
goes
like,
to jail, and
they're
yes,
always
they're
they're in prison, not jail, in prison.
Yes.
Like
they all get
solitary.
caught and then they go to prison. Here in America, the presidents do bad shit. Like Obama's in the news. Oh, he was spying on everyone. Nothing's gonna happen to him.
But is it any better? Like,
At least put him in jail.
are you familiar with Korean political system, Mike? I don't know if you are.
No.
They like
at all.
literally
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
Like they
like-
literally punch each other in Congress.
I know.
You
And they'll like literally almost
They
kill
care.
it. They'll actually like
It
almost
works.
kill each other physically. Same thing goes like Indonesia and stuff. You know, like obviously like Australia is heavily connected to Asian politics, right? It's like because it's a white nation, but it's Asian. It's in Asia. Like I mean, it's its own continent. People know, but let's just be honest. It's in the Adriatic, you know, it's in the Asian Sea area. It's like this close, you know, and also some black tribes as well. But it's like kind of crazy because I obviously get very familiar with the politics in Asian countries, being that my family's from the political system in Australia. And it's so crazy to me. I remember when I was working in Seoul, I was obviously I was definitely a white American working in Gangnam, and so obviously not working in the Korea. But I remember thinking, man, I thought that there was no place that was like equal parts awesome to live in and also scared the living shit out of me politically, other than America. I thought there was nothing else that existed like this, where it was like hard to tell, do I hate it here or love it here? And in Korea, that's how I felt. And no disrespect to the Korean members of the show, but it's like, it was clean. It's got that on us. It was nice. But it was very fake. It was very plastic. The girls didn't look real. And I didn't even know I had an Asian fetish until I moved there. And I don't when I moved back.
Girls are beautiful.
They're so beautiful.
Ridiculously beautiful.
It's like, dude, we just have ugly Asians in America. They're like models walking
everywhere.
In that district, at least.
Of course.
They're like white women with like slightly bigger eyes. That's just literally all it is.
Slightly bigger, not
It's
even
like
that much bigger.
Slightly bigger eyes than what you have, but it's like this, and it's just a white woman, and you're like, what the hell? And guys wearing makeup, that was weird too. I couldn't get used to that. And fucking the best food, the Korean barbecue, just like not being some like crazy place called a Gen or something here. It's like you just like go into a corner and drink soju at 11 a.m. with the boys, or you sit with the businessmen after 5, make new friends and make sexist and racist comments about women and minorities. It was a great culture, a great life. But man, my heart hurt for them because I saw the birth rate. And South Koreans aren't doing well, my guy. Is North Korea doing better? It's not doing well.
Yeah, do you know, I had this crazy thought, is that North Korea, they're reproducing at something like 1.9 or something like this, which is really close to replacement rate. South Korea is replacing at something like 0.7, which is one of the lowest in the world.
I know.
Okay. Then one side of the border got freedom and democracy. The other side got, this communism and dictators. Okay. But in 50 years or 100 years, one side will probably still be around and the other side may not. So then who actually wins? one side may be richer now, but the other side survives.
We'll have to bring in immigrants. That was the goal of making us all rich. They want to bring in, like,
well, South Korea, they have a couple of solutions, right? One is you figure out how to get people to just like have crazy amount of kids now, which is very unlikely.
They left
right?
God though too, by the way. South Korea used to be Christian for a while.
Yeah, that's fading too, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm saying they had Christian and their birth rates were fine. Before that, they were like ancestral, right? Like like magic and stuff, right?
Yeah, ancestral kind of shamanist type.
We call it New Age in the United States, but but their own version of that.
Yeah,
it's Eastern tradition.
Yeah,
and they became Christian.
And a lot of Buddhists.
Now they're atheists.
Yeah,
and they don't have kids. They're not getting married.
Correct, and it's also the injection of technology, because South Korea is one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world.
It's like China, all those countries. By the way, side note, everyone, Mike, we are going to go, by the way, because I have a business partner out there, but it's like, you go, fuck, what even is America? Like, you like go there and it's like, the toilet seats have like toilet seat covers that automatically come out onto the toilets and like throw themselves away, and like bidets in public restrooms, like cleaning your butthole, and you're like, this is nice. And then you're like, come back to America and there's like a addict sleeping in the bathroom, and you're like, they don't have that there.
But you see the amount of consumerism. It's crazy how fake everyone is, how people care so much about brand and like who you're associated with. And you're starting to see like the major Americanism of kind of the consumerist lifestyle that's kind of crept in.
Do they have American brands? Do you know this, Mike? American brands that don't exist here exist there, like Lockheed Martin and like defense contracting companies have clothing
stores.
Stores there.
I've heard of that.
And I'm like, music, so I'm like, hot bitch wearing like a Lockheed Martin t-shirt, and you're like,
that's kind of based actually.
They kill people. Like that's not a clothing brand. And it's like yeah, it's like Boeing or something. You're like, it's like when you go to like Mexico and they wear like Harvard t-shirts, and you're like, I don't think you know what you're doing. Anyway, I was always going to say is like the consumerism to the point to where American companies can market products that even Americans won't buy over there.
Well, I think what they do is they test it there. So because you get a small country with maximum of technology in a very concise area, you drop in a new brand, a new technology, a new food, a new something. See how it reacts. You market test. If it does really well there, then you start rolling out over here. It's like the perfect place actually to test, because you can find out the trends move so quickly. You can find out if something works or not in 3 months.
Well, it's like how World Economic Forum uses Australia to test all their weird stuff.
Exactly. If you try to test in the United States,
15-minute
the land
cities.
is too big, too sparse. People are too separated. For a trend to pick up throughout the world and to roll it out, it's so much money. So you pick kind of areas within the world that you can test really quickly. And I think Korea ends up being one of those areas, which is unfortunate.
It's really just Seoul. I mean, technically,
it's like within 1 square mile of Seoul. That's
I was like, it's right on the border. Same reason with Australia, because it's basically just like Melbourne, Sydney, and then Brisbane, and then Perth. It's like you have an entire country located in like 4 geopolitical like cities that are pretty small. So it's easy to just like test, but they're spread out over distance. That's the opposite. So you can really test how cities that are far from each other can communicate with new laws. And so they do it all in there. And then you have, Seoul. It felt like I was in a Black Mirror episode. And I know it might be disrespectful because I mean disrespectful. I wasn't married when I went there, so people getting mad at my marriage. I wasn't married, okay? So my point is when I was there, just like I liked 14-year-old girls when I was 14, there's nothing wrong with that. But when I was not married and I was there, I was just like, I didn't like Asian women, and I was just like, I mean, I really good genes there, man, like good genetic stock, it's crazy. To see them not reproducing is a heartbreaking thing, because I want more beautiful people in the world than Somalians. They're not having a problem having babies in Minnesota, and they look like they have microcephaly. They look like they have genetic dysgenic disorders in their genes. They're very bad looking people.
I think it's technology. I really do. The most technologically advanced countries in the world reproduce less, and the least technological countries in the world reproduce more. That's just an obvious corollary.
Because they have like really stringent social orders. Like people are pressured a lot to get certain marks on their exam, and then there's a lot of like nepotism that involves in getting a good job, and then the price of housing is insane.
But
Like, you
that's
don't think that
also
has to
just
do
like
with
in a
that?
very small area within Seoul. If you go out to maybe the more rural side or the smaller cities, it's actually not as bad. So Seoul there's so many people in that one area, and they are just, drowning in this consumerism, and then they just drop down the national average. But if you go out to other parts of Korea, there's more kids there, and it's less plastic. It's more normalized. The pricing, the price of housing isn't as expensive. It's like if you take any country in the world and you go to the most dense, kind of culturally forward modern area, then you get a snapshot of that country, but it's actually not represented. For example, if you were to go to LA and you were to just take a walk through Skid Row, which I would never recommend you walk, you'd be like, holy shit, LA sucks. It's like the dirtiest, nastiest, grimiest thing ever. And then you go to Beverly Hills or you go up into the Hills area and you're like, oh shit, this place is really nice.
It's like
It
the nicest city in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just depends on where you take that snapshot from. And I think most people that go to Seoul and go to Korea tend to go to that one area within Gangnam and those areas because that's where everything is. That's where all the beautiful people are. Of course you want to go. Beautiful people.
You would know. You would know. You would know. Well, okay. Well, we'll end it there because we got to get ready for the next show. But fascinating stuff. So if people want to find your VPN, though, which now I'm going to end up using, because
we're gonna
as long
convince
as
you
you
to
don't
become
get to read my
I can't.
stuff, that's fine. I came in here like zooted. By the way, I was like had a nicotine pouch and I was like having one of those days, and I'm like really enjoying this conversation. It kind of slowed me down a little bit, brought me into a more contemplative place, and also really loved your parenting stuff with your kid. Like, again, apologies on that very terrible dark humor. This show, I have the worst humor. Anyway, you don't even know half the stuff I've said on these shows I had to get cut out. But, just caring about your kid, and I think that's really what I want to leave people with today, is just like care about your child and have children.
Yeah.
It's so damn important. Not because I'm trying to, they say, people with kids want other people to have kids, so they're miserable too. It's like, dude, I'll tell you this. There's more problems in a marriage than there really is with children, from my experience. It's like, kids are kids. They shit themselves. They throw up on you. I'd rather deal with that than a hormonal creature that changes its attitude by the day and by the moon cycle instead of just a kid who loves you and wants to see you every morning. I know it changes as they become teenagers, but having a kid, dealing with kids is easier than dealing with women, in my opinion. And I love women. I love my wife. I love my family. You can't have the kids without the family. They've got to go together. You have problems with both. But please have children. And anybody who's LARPing around telling you, be a conservative, do this, do that, and they don't have kids. If they're young and they're working on having kids, that's fair too. If they're like, oh, I'm 23 and I'm a guy and I'm working on setting my career, so I want to have kids, then that's fine. You listen to them because they're working on it. But anyone who doesn't want to have kids or doesn't know if they want to have kids, I just kind of probably won't ever take them very, 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 very seriously for personal advice. But everyone in the studio, I'm pretty sure, either has kids or wants to have kids. Mike has a kid. I think he wants to have more. I want to have more. I know the other guys won't get into their personal lives. It's their business, but they either have kids or want to have kids. And I think you got to at least want to have children. That's all I was going to end you with. It's like, I think you need at least want to have kids one day. And if you're like under 28 and you don't have kids, I'll still listen to you. And I mean, you're on 28, 30, whatever. But you had kids later in life too.
Yeah. I mean, it took us a while to do it. And I think I'm fortunate that I have them later, because when you're young, you're like, oh, I feel like I have other things in life I want to do. But when you have kids a little bit later, you have a bigger sense of responsibility to them. You appreciate them more. I don't have this urge of I have all these other fun things I want to do in life. I just want to spend time with my kid. That's actually all I want to do now, and have more babies. I think that's important. I mean, the point of humanity is to survive, to make sure it goes on forever, and if you stop having kids, then you're actually being anti-human. So have more kids.
Amen. Matt, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Tell us how we can support your VPN and also how we can follow you on social media.
Well, go to vp.net/ and I'm gonna make a slash for you guys. I don't know
yeah.
what that slash is.
Rift, maybe?
Riff?
Yeah.
Riff? Yeah.
RFT. That's our name of our company. RIFT.
So go to vp.net/RIFT.
Perfect.
And that will get you support this show, support our mission of making sure that privacy is not taken away from us. And if you want to find me on socials, I don't know, search Matt Kim on whatever your favorite doom scroll device is, and I'll pop up.
Amazing. The rest of you guys, you can follow me at ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. A couple announcements here. We're going to be doing some content change ups in the next couple weeks. It's not that we're just going to give you less content. It's that we're going to be giving you a certain amount of content free on Rumble, on YouTube, and then some content we're going to be putting behind the paywall, including probably this show, not this episode, but this show as well is going to end up going behind the paywall. We'll release a good clip from it, on our YouTube and Rumble, 15 minutes, of everyone talking. But when we have someone out here, we usually like to sit down with them for about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and just talk about things they're into, things they do, things they care about. That's pretty irrelevant to the news cycle, because news cycle stuff is so it's such a short shelf life. But things that are personal last forever. I'm talking about privacy and birth rate and things that could last for decades. It's like things that we can just always reference. And also, it's nice when things are unscripted. So check it out, ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. I'm actually blown away because we have a 40% conversion rate of people who sign up for free and stay on. So, and it's not because people don't have money or whatever, but people just put in their email, and the amount of people that go to the website, put in their email, see what we have to offer, 40% of them end up paying for the subscription. That's really high rate, actually.
That's phenomenal.
That's insane. So 4 out of 10 people see it and go, I would like to pay for this content. And that's not all of you, but that's just to let you know that a lot of people find value in the content we're producing extra. And a lot of you, and it would be higher if it was more affordable, but if you want a code to get a free month, you can just email me, Elijah@rifttv.com, or Mike.Mendoza@rifttv.com, and we'll send you a unique code with your name so you can try a month free and see if it's something you'd like. Anyway, to my guest, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I love this wide angle. And to the rest of you guys watching, shout out to the crew, including Michael Hennessy and Mike Mendoza, who helped out with this production. Have a great rest of the week, as always, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.